Welcome to Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age, the show designed to help make middle age your prime time of life by defying the notion that once you reach 40, 50, or even 60 years old, your crowning achievements are all behind you. Regardless of whether you're just approaching 40 or are firmly entrenched in your middle years, it's time to launch your very own personal journey toward a joyful and purpose-filled second half of life. Each week, host Roy Richards, an expert on midlife renewal and author of A Midlife Challenge, Wake Up, will discuss the challenges common to middle age and help guide you to a brighter tomorrow. Now, here's Roy.
So you think you've survived some close calls in your life? Well, how about this? In September 2015, my next guest, John Fenton, survived the ultimate wake-up call. It came in the form of an emergency heart catheterization in which his heart actually stopped. And the good news is John recovered and he's here with us today. And even better news, John Fenton figured out how to turn this worst day of his life into the best day of his life. And this close call with death inspired him to discover what he really wanted to do with the rest of his life, to spend more time with his wife and daughter, and to positively touch the lives of far more people. And he's here today to suggest how you and I can follow this example and live our lives by design without sacrificing what's most important to us and without having to experience a near-death health emergency. As we approach the new year, living by design sounds like a really good resolution, doesn't it? And here's John Fenton's biography. He's former managing partner with BDO, a major CPA accounting firm, and currently is founder and CEO of John J. Fenton Executive Coaching. He's an entrepreneur, professional speaker, coach, mentor, and workshop leader. And as an expert in leadership and mastery, he's helped hundreds of fellow entrepreneurs and leaders energize their businesses, improve leadership skills, and manage stress. And he's author of the brand new book we'll talk about today, 5-Minute Mastery, The Surprising Secrets for Transforming Your Stress to Success and Mastering What's Important. And hello, John Fenton. We're honored to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Roy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you know, John, your prior career sounds like a role model for success. As managing partner at BDO, you're responsible for a team of 60, and your office recorded consistent growth in revenues and profits year after year. What was wrong and what was missing from your life?
Well, it's a great question, Roy, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience today. What was missing for me was that I was in this crossroads. And had been managing partner for a couple of years, had been managing partner in another office of the firm before that. And we were growing like crazy, but I was just beside myself. And I really just didn't feel right physically. I mean, I could feel it in my body, and was carrying the weight of the growth and the practice and knowing that the team was working really hard to produce great results, and we doubled our size in a short period of time, about 4 or 5 years, and really transformed the practice. And during that period of time, I was really struggling myself to be the sort of leader I knew I could be, and to be the sort of
and I noticed
husband.
You mentioned in your book one night you came home and your wife came out the driveway and pounded on the window of the car and said, "Why aren't you ever at home?"
That's right. So I was putting in the long hours, right, and the stress was building up, and I needed to find something for myself to be the person I knew I could be and the type of leader I thought I was. It's interesting. Many times we have our own perception of reality, right, how we think we're perceived, and then there's everybody else's perception, right?
Yeah, that's
the other folks. And so there were times where I was not a very good leader. I mean, I would get angry and lose my temper and those sorts of things, and the stress was really building. And I happened to come across a yoga and Tai Chi center, and I walked in one day and fell in love with Tai Chi.
Well, now, did the Tai Chi experience occur before or after you had this heart problem?
It occurred before, a few years before.
Oh,
but I think, too, that it's interesting that the fact that I was, by that time, a master and a black belt in Tai Chi, that experience helped me to survive it, too.
Oh, that's good.
And the biggest benefit I got from it, aside from the physical aspects, was the fact that I was much more clear-headed. I was much more efficient, productive in my work that I was doing, and leading just tremendous growth. And we were honored. We were one of the top-performing practices in the firm and that sort of thing. And really just were growing like crazy. But I was able to really, find that time, find a few minutes for myself each day to really clear my head and get focused and be a better leader.
Well, are you telling us that all of us need to take up Tai Chi or yoga or something like that in order to transform?
I recommend it, but I don't. It's not a requirement, right? Because we all have. I love Tai Chi and I love the yoga, and I do a combination of. As a matter of fact, every day I do something for myself, and just fell in love with that. But it's not for everybody. But you can do some very simple things for yourself at home, just a few minutes each day.
Yeah.
And it's a concept that I came up with. I call the power of accumulation, sort of like, compound interest, right? Each day builds upon itself, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
You can take 5 minutes. If you have more time, take more time. But at least 5 minutes, you can get started to really make a difference in your life. And I think the realization I had, as you mentioned, my I guess you can call it a near-death experience. And dealing with that situation was that in a matter of a few minutes, everything can change.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Your life can change, your focus can change. And, look, as we go through life, we have experiences through our lives. We experience different things, emotional things, physical things, whatever they might be throughout our lives. And we build up sort of memories, and there's emotions that we carry with some of those things. And over time, we form our perception of the world and how we think. Yeah. But in a matter of a few moments, you can shift your thinking to be more positive and to take something that may be perceived as very negative at first and turn into a real positive for you.
Well, that's given the daily hassles and responsibilities of middle age, it seems like a lot of us may have lost sight of our true purpose in life. And based on your personal experience and your coaching, what is you suggest is the surest way to get in touch with your heart? How do you get that feeling to start out to what I really am meant to, what I was put on this earth to do?
Yeah, it's a great question, Roy. I really think that just taking some time to reflect, give yourself some time for reflection.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to do that. You can sit and meditate. You can take a walk through nature. If you like to play golf, go walk on a golf course, whatever it might be. But if you like to run or jog, that's a great time. But take some time for self-reflection. It's sort of connecting your passion and your purpose. And so, a very effective way to do that is just to sit down with yourself, reflect on your past experiences, and what are the things that really you enjoy doing, the things that you really, if you could do it for free, right, what would it be that you would be doing for others, to help others, from a perspective of how can I share and give to others? What experiences can I bring to the table that maybe someone else hasn't experienced, that I can help others with that? And that's a starting point.
And in my book, actually, I have a exercise where you imagine you won the $50 million lottery, and what would you really do with your life to help others? And
absolutely,
without the pressures of earning a living. But I'd like to get down to where the rubber meets the road. Your book presents a 3-phase strategy to overcome individual career burnout and corporate burnout, for that matter, and to discover and implement the secret of sustainable energy. Could you please identify those 3 phases and very briefly describe what they entail?
Sure. The 3 phases are the energize phase is the first phase. So that's where you're really focusing inwardly, you focusing on your breathing. Connecting with your body is really important. And the reason that's important is that it brings you totally into the present moment. And I guide the readers through that process.
Oh, good.
The second phase is the execution phase. So once you've energized yourself and you focus on that, then you want to even more deeply go into a process of feeling your body more deeply, feeling energy, and you become more clear. Okay, so a lot of the clutter starts to fall away, and then you can develop your strategies in that state of clarity, the strategies that will help you be successful and help you to create more freedom and design your life by your design. The third phase is empowerment. So once you start to take action, right? So in the second phase, you're creating the action steps.
Yeah.
The third phase is taking action, empowering you to build your life by your design, giving you more confidence to do the things that are going to work to help you create that life that you really is based on your true self and what you really are yearning for.
Yeah, so many of us reach the second phase and make plans but never really take the steps to empower.
Exactly right. And then what you do is kind of a process. So you energize yourself, you get more in touch with who you are, you then you develop your strategies for execution, you begin to take action on those strategies, and then you learn from them. Some of those strategies are going to work, some may not.
Yeah.
And you adjust, and you keep this continuous cycle. And it's interesting, I read something this morning, as a matter of fact, that, learning is actually a form of our growth. It's a form of our creativity, and anybody can learn new things.
Yeah. Well, your book is entitled 5-Minute Mastery. How in the world do you expect us to get grounded, energize our bodies, and uncover our best selves all in 5 minutes? Sounds
That's a great question.
How do they do that?
Well, the first step is the first 5 minutes. That's the first step. Now, what I really recommend is if you follow it all the way through, you're going to take more time. But starting with at least 5 minutes, give yourself permission for 5 minutes. Why do I start there? Because we're all too busy. We're all too crazy busy, right?
Yeah.
So take 5 minutes, just do some reflection. You can write a gratitude journal. You can focus on your breathing. Just focus on your breath and really get into your body that way.
Yeah.
That's the first step. What will happen is you'll want to get more. Because that feeling is going to be so good, you're going to want to create more time to create more of that connection to help you develop even further. So 5-minute mastery is really about taking that first step to give yourself 5 minutes every day. Again, the power of accumulation.
The power of accumulation you talk about.
That's exactly right.
Day.
Exactly right.
Well, let's talk a bit about your new book, 5-Minute Mastery. You've been highly successful in coaching hundreds of fellow executives and entrepreneurs. What inspired you to set aside the time and energy to write your book?
Well, I've had this idea for a book inside of me for a number of years. And people have told me, I need to write a book. And so the book is a summary of really some of the key kind of pivotal moments in my life that helped develop my character and the skill sets that I had over time. And also that includes my Tai Chi practice and learning how to really focus through breathing and through moving the body and that sort of thing. And certainly, of course, the moment a few years back where, everything shifted. My life changed dramatically. And so the book is really about just another aspect of sharing what it is I do. It's not theory. It's things I've actually used for myself and used to help other people.
Well, that's really what everyone needs is not theory, but practical application.
Absolutely.
Well, what's the intention that your readers take away from your book? I know you state that in the book, but...
Yes. The intention is that in a matter of a few moments, everything can change, and that you can change your life and shift your focus no matter what's going on, no matter what obstacles you face or what things are happening in your life. You can transform those things, those obstacles, into positive energy for you in shifting your life. And the starting point is to really focus on your breathing, focus on your body, get in touch with your true nature, and live your life from your best self.
Oh, that's great. Well, here's something special. You offer purchasers of your book several free checkout bonuses. Can you tell us a bit about some of those?
Yes. Anybody who buys the book, and the book is available on Amazon, and the book is an Amazon bestseller and a #1 new release.
Great.
Yeah, and what they can get with the book are some audio recordings that guide you through the 3-step process that we talked about.
That's helpful.
Yeah, and then also there's an audio or video recording of I do a team building exercise for anybody who's involved with working with groups of people or in teams. I call it Closing the Awareness Gap, and it's a process that I guide teams through, and it really helps to strengthen the team bond. And that's also, there's an audio or video of that as well. And then also a downloadable printable card, a bookmark of the 8 principles of successful company culture. And I also talk about company culture and things that I've learned over the years that can help make a team more effective.
Yeah, it's so important that you transfer them, that excellence you've established within yourself and that purpose to the team. And I guess that 8 principles will help do that. But well, give us your website where people can learn more about you, and perhaps they'll want to sign up for a complimentary coaching session. I know is on that website. What is the website address?
The website address is www.johnjfenton.com.
That's just F-E-N-T-O-N is the spelling in that last name.
That is correct.
That's simple enough. Well, to conclude, within the first week after I embarked on my business career, I began to lose focus on my true purpose in life, all wrapped up in the stress of the daily assignments and everything, getting that next promotion and all that. And I pursued a career for 30 years with little joy and a whole lot of stress. In fact, over that entire period, despite some purported success, I can think of perhaps maybe 4 or 5 years when I truly enjoyed my career and had a positive impact on others. And like John, a few years back, I woke up to life and transformed my attitude, changed my vocation, and enjoyed a balanced life ever since. And I only wish I had been able to read John J. Fenton's book, 5-Minute Mastery, years ago. And as promised in the introduction, John's book, you'll discover how to free yourself from stresses that negatively impact your performance, secrets to becoming a better leader, techniques to re-energize your body when you feel depleted and drained, and how to create a company culture that inspires the best in the folks you lead or work with, and so much more. And its Amazon preview promises that the 5-Minute Mastery could be the single most effective strategy for you becoming a world-class leader. And not all of us have that aspiration, but the book is far more than that. It also will inspire you to take control of your own life, balance your career, family, and rechannel your energy from worry and stress to mastery of the tasks at hand. And you can have a positive influence not just on those you work with, but also on your spouse and kids by that positive energy that you bring with you all the time. And won't it be great when you're in charge of your own destiny and are executing your self-chosen strategies by design? And it isn't a large book. It's less than 100 pages, but it's packed with sound advice. And to channel your energy and recapture your destiny, I highly recommend you preview and purchase John Fenton's book, 5-Minute Mastery. It's a great New Year's present for yourself, a loved one, or a work associate. And thanks a million, John, for your advice, and best of success moving forward.
Thank you so much, Roy. I really appreciate being on your show.
A wonderful message from John Fenton as we end one year and begin the next. Yes, you and I indeed can condition ourselves to live life by design, de-stressing our daily lives, balancing career, family, and just plain good old relaxation. And we actually will improve rather than lessen our performance in our career or primary daily activity, and more importantly, we'll enjoy every moment of it. Midlife renewal, a wonderfully appropriate goal for the new year. And before I go, I'd like to remind you of our program's O.P.E.N.S formula. That's O.P.E.N.S. And you may or may not remember, but each of these letters stands for one aspect of midlife renewal. And here is what each letter in O.P.E.N.S stands for. The O stands for an optimistic attitude and an optimistic outlook on life. And, of course, bad things do happen to good people. Everyone suffers alike at a tornado, a hurricane, a natural disaster, or perhaps just a financial crash, whatever, bad health. Bad things do happen to good people. There's no denying it. But always remember that you and you alone have the choice over how you approach daily living, half empty or half full. And when disaster strikes, some people come out of it very strongly, and others are somewhat crippled for life. It all depends on our confidence and our ability to look forward and depend upon God and upon yourself to move forward no matter what circumstances are, and keep that optimistic outlook in mind. That's the O of the O.P.E.N.S formula. The P in O.P.E.N.S stands specifically for prayer. More broadly, it stands for spirituality, a higher eternal being, a belief in a higher eternal being. And when you label, whether you label the Supreme Being as God, Yahweh, Allah, the universal intelligence, it's so important to ask for help from a power higher than ourselves, isn't it? Pray and ask for advice as you and I make our ways through lives. It's very difficult to depend just upon our own knowledge because there's so much more out there we can make connection with. And the E in the O.P.E.N.S formula stands for exercise. And I don't know about you, but my mind, body, and spirit feel so much better when I get out of the office or out of the house and get some exercise in. Now, it may be strenuous, but it doesn't have to be strenuous. If you're up to it, a jog is great. Maybe you want to work with weights, but oftentimes just a 15 to 20-minute brisk walk, especially in the beautiful fall days or early spring or whatever, that does the trick. It all depends on the kind of exercise that you prefer, but make sure you get it. The N in the O.P.E.N.S formula stands for nutrition, and I won't bore you with the old statement, well, I just did. I guess you are what you eat, but to some degree it's so very true. Our bodies burn calories throughout the day, at least if we have any kind of a physical activity, even if we don't, and neither our bodies nor our minds operate very well if we don't ingest 3 solid nutritional meals a day. Now, personally, I don't believe that all meals must be strictly vegetarian, but I do believe that our intake should be balanced and nutritious. As we start the new year, it's an excellent time to drop those excess pounds, isn't it, and get our bodies in shape. And, of course, all of us have that resolution every year, but few of us make it. And we've had recent programs that talk about how to get some of that weight off and keep it off. And you wouldn't even have to watch your diet that carefully once you get in the habit of eating only when you're really hungry and thinking about what you're going to eat and limiting it beforehand rather than having to go through some difficult diet only to gain it right back. And remember, on another recent program, we talked about all the toxins that we need to get out of our bodies. And a lot of those toxins enter our bodies when we eat unnatural processed foods. And I don't know about you, but it would be very hard for me to be renewed and joyful in a soft 50-pound or 75-pound overweight body. So nutrition obviously is an essential part of the O.P.E.N.S formula. The final letter S can stand for 2 or 3 different elements to midlife renewal. One of those is sleep, and it's very important to live joyfully and at maximum performance, to have a solid night of sleep every night. And some of us can get by on 6 or 7 hours, perhaps even less, if it's that deep, restful period of unconsciousness where every part of our body is at ease and at rest, not a restless night when you're dreaming bad dreams and shifting around in bed all night. You wake up feeling worse than when you went to sleep, don't you? But every one of us needs to be totally shut down to ensure it maximum capability as we start the next day. So S is one thing or sleep is one thing the S stands for. The S also stands for socialization and for service to others. You know, no one renews in a vacuum. We may feel great when we wake up in the morning, but 5 or 10 minutes later, our spouse is all grouchy, complaining about it's too hot or a pain in her leg or arm and all she has to do that day and blah, 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 and how you're not helping out and all those kind of things. And then your kids get up and they only grunt when you ask what's in store for the day. And no one renews in a vacuum, like I said, so it's very important that we bring our relatives along, and believe me, it gets easier and easier once you're renewed and happy. It kind of rubs off on others, doesn't it? Also, it goes without saying that no one will remain satisfied and really rejuvenated for very long without concern for and service to others. So the S also stands for service. And guess what? You really won't have to work that hard at it. Take my word for that. Once you are totally renewed, your natural tendency will be to seek out others and to perform good works in service to them. You'll want to know what's troubling them, what you can do to help, and pretty soon all of you will be in a much better mood, and you'll all be well on your way to midlife renewal. And as final thoughts for the old year and initial thoughts for the new year to come, the O.P.E.N.S formula, remember that opens you to a lifetime of maximum accomplishment and joy. And you know what? I've enjoyed speaking to you throughout 2018 and in prior years as well. And may the good Lord bless you in the days and weeks to come as we enter a new year. Don't forget my book, A Complete Roadmap to Middle Age Renewal, to renewal in your middle years. And really those can be defined as starting at 30, at 40, at 50, whenever you want. And the title, of course, is A Midlife Challenge Wake Up by Roy C. Richards. That's me, and you'll find my book through Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or on our website, middleagerenewal.com. And I'll let you go for now. May you enjoy a most wonderful ending to 2018 and a great new year. And tune us in again next week for Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age. And I'll say it one more time, Happy New Year. From Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age.
You've been listening to Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age, hosted by Roy Richards, an expert on midlife renewal and author of both A Midlife Challenge, Wake Up, and Wake Up, Captain and Crew, Restart Your Engines. You can learn more about Roy and his Middle Age Renewal Training System by visiting his website, middleagerenewal.com.